Three friends, one amazing series of YA novels, an insatiable thirst to relive the glory that is K.A. Applegate's literary masterpiece. This is Fanimail, the Dork-Bajir Chronicles.
Hello and welcome to the Speaking True, a Dork-Bajir podcast where we read through the Animorphs series in a funny voice, one book at a time, then talk about it every week. Today we'll be taking a deeper dive into Animorphs number 36, The Mutation, the book we read last week. My name is Mikhail, the host.
I'm Tessa, the expert.
And I'm Brayden. I'm still making notes, but that's okay, because this one's going to be long and a little bit in-depth.
I'm okay with that. Before we get started, let's do some...
Fanimail! Ooh, yeah! Fanimail! Ooh, yeah!
First piece of fan mail comes from Allie Etheridge on Facebook. It's a long post with a detailed description of how she would do the Animorphs TV reboot. A lot of good ideas in there. I highly recommend checking it out, debating. There's a link to the post, which is public, so you can comment on it in the show notes for this episode. So thank you, Allie. Next piece of fan mail comes from Sean Sprague, who also from Facebook posted a cover of, and I wish I knew what this was, Brayden. It's a fly morphing into a green elf man, but overlaid is like the Animorphs cover title, and it says The Capture. Pretty accurate.
Oh, yeah, it's Beast Boy.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, like
Beast Boy.
like Teen Titans.
Oh, yeah, he looks totally different in this cover. His hand is kind of fucked up, but...
Yeah, well.
Okay. Hey, I can't draw that good. Anyways, should we move on to our first real segment? Well, not that fan mail is not real, but our first involved segment, let's say.
Animorphs!
So, this is a segment where we diagnose an issue in this book and try to find a more creative and effective solution. The question I picked this week, there's a couple. I was kind of debating doing the Nartec shit, but there were so many unanswered questions as to like how that worked that I figured let's leave that to the historians who will find this in 1,000 years and wonder.
When they unstitch this podcast and they see that it's just been stuffed full of seaweed.
Okay, so the question I chose was, how would you have taken down the Sea Blade? So there's a lot of options here. Also, you have a day to prepare because, well, let's just say you have a day to prepare to make it a little different from the book. I think they had some time, though, didn't they?
They had to look for it, was the thing.
Yeah.
And then as soon as they found it, it was go time. Yeah, they knew it was there. They figured it was in the Yerk pool. So they were just watching for it for when it,
right.
arrived.
So let's say you have 24 hours to prepare. Whatever. I don't know what the timeline was in the book, but that's our timeline. Also, you don't know where it's going. You have no knowledge other than it's going in the general area of a giant region in the ocean where there's a lot of military stuff going on. So we can think proximity mines, maybe undetonated nukes, which I don't know enough about nukes to know if you could still knock one like into ignition like 50 years later.
I mean, there is that part in Finding Nemo where there was all of those bad shit in the ocean that they had to not touch. I think those were nukes. I'm pretty sure they were nukes. They looked like nuke-ish.
I don't think they had proximity mine nuclear weapons.
I think they did, and that's why war is so awful. That's the real power of the moral at the end of book 36.
No, shut up. Proximity mines are not nuclear. How fucking dare you?
It would be so dangerous for the people putting them
They might not be nuclear, but they might be nuclear.
Oh, God. So in other words, you have to do what the Animorphs did, which was follow.
I'm so fucking mad at you right now.
I can feel it.
You can't go to the spot where it's going.
Do you know where it starts? Can we say you know, like, roughly where it's going to start?
You definitely know where it starts, just like in the book.
I have a big question right off the bat.
Go on.
Why can't the Chi just, like, break down the Pemelite ship, like, a little bit into pieces?
This is something I was thinking about because the chi keep coming up in books, and we have a rule where it's like, if the chi's in the book, you can use the chi. I think maybe the rule should be a bit more specific in that you can use the chi in the same way the Animorphs use the chi.
You can use the chi, and then the other us, the Fanimorphs, get to come up with some dumb restriction.
Like, you can use the chi, but they all have to be, like, a hologram to look like actual dogs.
Also, I think Brayden's canon is that they have to have sex with dogs at some point.
What?
They have to sexually gratify. Yes, they have to.
What?
Because, that's who they are. They're fun-loving.
No, they're androids. They don't need sex.
Yeah, they don't need sex, but they know that dogs do.
Dogs don't need sex.
Tessa, finish what you were going to say about the chi.
I'm just wondering, like, there's the whole bit, the reason why they want to take down the Seablade is because it's easier to do that monumental task than just move the Pemalite ship, because for some reason it's easier to find the Pemalite ship if it's moving. And it's like, okay, why don't we just break it down? Like, what? Get rid of the technology that they're trying to find. It's like, what's to stop the Yeerks from just making Seablade 2? They popped this one off pretty fast.
Are you saying, like, break it down into pieces and hide them, or actually, like, incinerate the ship?
Well, just, like, either. Like, okay, the Yeerks haven't found the Chi's underground park. Maybe break it down into pieces, put it in the park, and rebuild it. And now it's just a feature in your underground park.
I feel like it's only fair to assume that the Chi have some important reason why they can't do that, because that has to have crossed their mind. Like, oh, you know why? Because it's the center of their internet. Remember?
Oh, yeah, ChiNet,
right.
that whole thing. Okay. I guess that's fair, but, like, they're really smart. They could probably figure out a way to tinker with it so that they could do it. I think there's probably also they don't want to break it down because the Pemalites made it, and they're so sad they miss the Pemalites.
Also, it seems like something where, like, if you can avoid messing with the thing that, like, runs your organization, maybe you shouldn't fuck around with it.
I just feel like the Yeerks are going to pop off Seablade 2 in, like, 9 more books, and then they'll have to do this shindig all over again.
That seems to actually be to the true about like 90% of these things. Like, why didn't they just buy another lab to do the free will experiment? Why didn't they just give everyone like laser prosthetic arms or whatever, like Taylor had?
Yeah,
I don't know what the reason is. The only reason I could think is like resources. Like maybe the Seablade took an enormous amount of resources that Visser 3 can't requisition again.
Ooh, yeah, that's fair. He can't write, especially because this comes right off the tails of Visser, where he's still kind of like maybe on probation-ish, or not probation, but they're keeping a heavy eye. So like, okay, your Seablade idea didn't work. You're not going to be able to make another one. Okay, I'll accept that.
And also like our situation doesn't matter about the future. It only matters about this thing right now.
I know, but like I am like a visionary.
Okay, great. I didn't know that. Sorry. Let's backtrack.
Sorry. Did I not mention that in like the 100 episodes that we've done?
Yeah, I'm a late stage prodigy. So.
I'm like, yeah, like I fucking have great ideas, and that's what I do.
Okay, here's my at least a small piece of the puzzle. I think they shouldn't morph one thing. I don't think morphing a bunch of orcas made sense.
No.
Like it would make sense to like an oceanographer who came across them. It's like, fuck that. Who cares? Like, what is an oceanographer going to see a squid, an orca, a whale, and a shark and be like, oh, I better call the government. And then what? They go back and there's no evidence of any of that. So
it's
who
just
cares?
going to be like, oh, that was really freaking weird. Also, like, it's the ocean. The ocean's really huge. Who's going to find you? If the Yeerks feel safe enough to go and muck around, then you should too.
Also, doesn't Cassie have a whale morph that's like way bigger than a killer whale?
Yeah.
No, she has humpback. She has a humpback.
Sperm.
It's Rachel and Tobias have the sperm
whale.
I think a humpback is bigger than a sperm whale, though.
Oh, here we go. Here's a chart of a whole bunch of things. Okay, so a sperm whale is 35 to 60 feet. Whoa, that's like a big difference. But sperm whale are actually on average a little bit bigger than humpbacks.
Okay.
And then orcas are itty bitty. Orcas are 23 to 31 feet. Humpbacks are 42 to 50 feet.
Yeah. What was wrong with the sperm whale morph?
I think because they didn't all have sperm whale, but like still, use 2 sperms, 4 orcas. Or 2 sperms, 3 orcas, and a humpback. But I'm wondering if they didn't want the humpback because the humpback is a predator against, like, krill and isn't very powerful.
But I mean, it is. It fights. Oh no, the humpback's not a squid that fights. Or squid fighting. Well, the sperm whale would make more sense.
Do the sperm whale. It's way bigger than an orca.
Let's get into some sperm fight.
I actually think they should have as many sperm whales as they can, and then they need some smaller ones. Like Axe maybe should have been the hammerhead. Way smaller target, and he could get closer and maybe like bite some important machinery or whatever they do, you know.
No, I'm okay with no hammerheads because I'm thinking it's also a speed thing. Like hammerheads can't swim as fast as whales, right?
That's an interesting question.
Okay, hammerhead sharks can swim at a speed of 25 miles an hour. Orcas can swim at 28. Okay, so a hammerhead and an orca can go about the same speed.
Okay.
Sperm whales can also swim at about 28 miles per hour. So yeah, one of you be like a hammerhead. No, wait, but a hammerhead, because it's a ship, right? So I think the idea with the orcas was that they were just going to bludgeon them.
Right, but my point is, if you're all giant targets, it's
that's true.
It's super easy to pick them off, right? So why not be the hammerhead? Not only throw some like suspicion into the mind of the people in the ship, because it's like, oh, what if we had even like 5 killer whales and 1 hammerhead, but then you join up with the other orcas and it's like, oh, they think everyone's there, but actually Axe can sneak aboard or something. You feel me?
I feel you, because they're used to seeing 6. So, I don't know. Sperm whales are just so much bigger than orcas. Like, have Rachel and Tobias do spermies.
Also, morphing a different animal after the first one gets killed.
Oh, that would be sick. That would be cool, because then it's like reinforcements have come up.
Yeah, it would seem like different people
like
are
there's
coming.
A bajillion of them.
Braden, what's your take on all this?
No, yeah, they had to be whales. Like, they had to be something big enough to do an actual dent in the sea blade.
But what if they were, like, what if one of them was a squid to just rip off the cannons? Have some arms down there.
That would defeat the purpose, because they needed to be, you're saying they needed to be sharks to literally swim under the radar, but they needed to be something else, literally anything else to be able to damage a ship.
I feel like the squid could probably damage the ship. Are you saying that the squid doesn't fly under the radar and that's why it's a problem?
It doesn't fly under the radar.
No, the squid would be big. But okay, here's a plan. You got 2 sperm whales, you got 2 orcas, and you got 2 squid. The squid are hiding, like hitching a ride on the sperm whale. They crash into it. The squid like latch on, rip the cannons off before whales start getting carved in half. It's basically
I like this idea.
An animal bomb. A squid.
It's like a fucking trebuchet, a squid trebuchet.
A squid trebuchet. But like, okay, this is legit, because in the book 27, there was like Rachel was fighting the squid and the squid was all latched on her, and she didn't say anything about it being more difficult to swim because of the weight. It was just because the squid beak was like eating her eyes out. So the weight
I'm sure it would be like, because it's drag, right? So like, even if it wasn't weight, the drag would still make it a problem. But that isn't to say that they couldn't swim alongside each other, and then once they started to do the like run up to hit the thing, then they could attach, if that makes sense. Also, what's wrong with just being like the squid going in behind the whales? Although if I've learned anything from that one campaign with Braden, is like you should never line up enemies in front of someone that can shoot a laser.
You just need one Draken beam to slice them all in half.
I mean, I've kind of realized now that shouldn't have been how. We're actually for the audience at home, we're actually friends in real life, and we played a D&D game together where I was a sorcerer and I had the meta magic feature called Twin Spell, and even though I shouldn't have been able to, I used it to use Lightning Bolt twice, which actually Twin Spell is only for single target attacks.
Okay, because it killed 18 people. Because they were all standing in a line in like a prison corridor. Fuck.
I don't think I was in this game. That sounds awesome.
It was pretty good. Back on topic, squid trebuchets.
I think this is like the best option, even if it's just like, okay, the orcas go ahead first and then the sperm whales find the orcas because of echolocation. if they're hanging a little bit behind. But the squids are still like, oh, secret attack. Because I can't find any. Google is not telling me any information on squid swim times. And squid don't have echolocation.
Oh, I'm sure they can swim fast.
Oh, wait, no, they totally do.
No, they have the giant eyes.
They got giant eyes, and they definitely have echolocation now that I remember.
Okay, so I think the point stands, so whether the trebuchet would work or not, it's that multiple animals can use their strengths together instead of one animal with one strength.
Instead of just like using a hammer, get a couple other tools in your tool belt.
Like, what if the humpbacks or the sperm whales take point, because they're the biggest, I don't know, and they ram the ship. Meanwhile, the other orcas are like hiding in their shadow, wake or whatever, and then come in and do the old 1-2 afterwards. And while the ship is trying to line up the lasers and recover, squid from below, y'all, rip the Draken beams off or something.
Or even like the squid come first and rip the Draken beams off.
I mean, like, any combination of that, I think, is good. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so I think this is the dream team. 2 sperm whale, 2 orca, 2 squid.
Okay, you got a point there, yeah.
Rachel and Tobias have the sperm whale, so that means only like 2 people. Cassie and Jake probably, super easy. Oh, let's go on a date to the gardens. Oh, Mom, can we pet Swoosh, the brand new orca? Super simple. How on earth did Axe touch the orca? Like, I mean, it was the middle of the night. They don't have video cameras in the 90s, but still, like, so much easier.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it was like a really kind of weak premise of just like, I don't want to do the squid, it's gross. And like, we don't all have a sperm whale. Also, orcas travel in pods, and that's important for some reason.
Like, the Yerks are not going to be going where humans are. I mean, they were prepared for the possibility, but they were definitely Seablade for a little bit there because Jake saw it.
Yeah, I think overall it would have been a lot better if they had.
Do whales actually have that good of sight? I didn't think they had that good of sight now that I'm thinking about it.
Echolocation, y'all. They're those giant melons.
Duh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was. He echolocated and found the ship, but then they were able to change it so that the echolocation brought back a whale.
Yes, but they could also kind of tell it wasn't a real whale for some reason, didn't they?
No, he just knew it wasn't a real whale because he saw the ship turn into it. Other than that, the disguise was like the same.
That means because echolocation works with solid objects, right?
I know, so that means there's some kind of force field.
Yeah, they didn't just use an illusion or like a hologram. They used a force field and a hologram, which is like, why? Why did they do that?
Yeah, like it's a lot of work, but maybe because they knew the Animorphs were coming.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. That's true, actually. So I feel like we still need to decide what the best order of attacking is. I do agree that I think that is the best team. But like, how do you want it to go? I think lining up the trebuchet doesn't make any sense. It's a very cool concept, but makes no sense.
The squid first. If the squid go down and they go underneath, who's watching from the bottom? There's always a bigger fish. You know that trope. Like,
but do they attack first?
They attack first to take out the Draken beams.
What's to stop the ship from just like pointing at them once they get attacked?
Well, like, squid body underneath the sea blade, squid legs reach up top and rip those Draken cannons off the top.
Right, but that assumes that their sensors don't read down.
Yeah.
Which they probably do.
They probably do.
Hell, they probably read in directions we don't even know about.
Oh, God, they read, like, inside your butt.
Like, what's between down and left?
Ugh, it's just called the left.
There's the x-axis, the y-axis, the z-axis, and the Yerk axis.
They just have a ping so they know where any animals with ears, they just know where they are at all times. But I'm thinking, like, wasn't it described that the Draken beam was at the top? Or was it a different bad guy that had the Draken beam at the top?
They definitely had multiples, though. Didn't it?
Yeah, but I was thinking I thought the ship was described as having Draken beam off the top, only on the top of the ship. Which means
maybe
the bottom part, there is no Draken beam. Squid body stays there, squid legs go up and rip the guns off. I could be misremembering. There's probably makes more military sense if they have Draken beams all along the sides.
I think also, like, the assumption that the squid can just, like, automatically rip the things out is maybe a bit much. I do think that the squid could do a shitload of disorientation damage of just like, oh, like all your sensors are fucked by my enormous tentacles, like screwing all your shit up. And then they hold the ship in such a way where one side is exposed, ideally like the top, right? And then, or I don't know, would the bottom be less shielded? It would probably be shielded the same all around. But anyways, expose one side and get the humpbacks to like fucking slam the shit out of it. Get the orcas to like stabilize it so that the sperm,
Yeah, not humpbacks. I feel like sperm whale, because they're already used to barreling into danger, they've got probably more meat that's good for punching, whereas a humpback is weak.
Also, sperm whales have teeth.
Yeah, also, all of these whales have teeth. Yeah, okay, so if we do like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea kind of bullshit, and you get tentacles all up on the windows and confuse the sensors, oh no, we can't see what's going on, boom, surprise whale attack.
Yeah, so the only way that could screw up is if they misjudge where the Draken beam is and they like put their entire head over the Draken beam.
Yeah, that is a big possibility of messing up, but I mean, death can come at any time.
Also, it's not like they like really addressed that as a pod of whales approaching it either.
No,
so.
Yeah. As soon as they see them, they just like drop the shield and they're like, it's game time.
Okay. Also, this would have killed probably wouldn't have killed Visser 3, but been pretty close to it.
Yeah.
Also, then when Visser 3 inevitably like morphs the fucking red bladder beast from number 4,
with the tongues,
they're way more prepared this time. Giant squids? Sperm whales?
Fucking ripping him apart with their stinging little tentacles? Hell yeah. Visser 3 would just turn tail and run.
I'm hard for it.
It's not hard to get you hard, though, Brayden. It's not difficult.
No, it's not.
Hell, I'm hard now.
I know. I can see it.
Okay. Just to recap, I think this is what our solution stands at, and argue with me if you think you should. For the team is 2 sperm whales, which would be Tobias and Rachel. 2 killer whales, which would probably be Jake and Cassie. And then the squid would be Axe and Marco. Actually, I think that makes a lot of sense, actually.
I think that would be really good because these pairs already work really well together. Like, Axe and Marco is going to be a romp. Axe and Marco with like 24 legs between them? Extra rompulous.
I also think Marco or Axe is the least like freaked out by being a squid.
Exactly. He's already being an alien for a lot of the time when he morphs human.
And Marco would probably want to be more firepower than the killer whales would be.
Yeah.
Because the killer whales are kind of support in this situation.
Yeah.
Okay, so they would combine their strengths and hopefully eliminate their weaknesses by going together, catch up with the Seablade like they did, except this time approach from different angles if possible, and the squid go as close as they can, wrap as many of their tentacles over 3 of the sides, which wouldn't be hard since it's like kind of flat anyways, and hold, I guess, the underbelly of the ship up for the sperm whales to just slam, right? First of all, the sperm whale is like 2 to 3 times as big as a killer whale, right?
Yeah, they're huge.
Yeah, so it would obliterate the fucking ship for sure. So.
Well, and it also gets it, like, if you, one sperm whale, one orca, and they can go in, like, shifts almost, and just go blam, blam. Like, then it's not just all orcas at once. Oh no, now we're all chopped in half, swim away. All orcas at once. Like,
I like the idea, too, that it's like, we can go all the way to the surface, demorph, remorph, go back down, and we can still catch up with the ship.
And we'll still catch up with the ship, right? Like, what the frick? But that's just orcas doing it. Something twice as big as an orca, slamming into that, the ship would crumple. Yeah.
I think our plan is good, y'all.
I think our plan is solid.
You can add us pretty much anywhere. Our email is dork-bajir@gmail.com if you don't agree with me. Or if you know something about these animals that would be like, oh, that's impossible. A squid can't function at that depth or whatever.
But it's a shallower depth than what squid live at. So, you're wrong.
So, anyways, if you have any information like that, please let us know. So now we can move on to our next segment. Everyday now. In this segment, we try to tackle an everyday situation that might have or did happen in this book. All the normal rules of the Animorphs apply, so no humans, no murder. Our question is, how would you use morphing? Okay, this was actually another hard one because it was like, what everyday thing happened Nothing. Cassie called Jake to investigate a fucking gill monster Dork-Bajir.
You get threatened to get your spine ripped out while you're still alive. You know, happens when you walk downtown at night.
The closest thing I could find that was normal was, how would you use morphing to get your crush to call you at all hours of the night? Okay, here are the caveats. Number 1, no bombs. Number 2, they have to want to call you, so you can't just scare them into calling you for whatever reason. And the end goal is for them to be in a good mood when they call you. Again, so you don't want to piss them off so much that they call you to threaten your family or something. They want to call you. That's the end goal. Anybody? Who wants to go first? I don't have much for this one.
I have something, but I don't really like it. Because it's all hours of the night. How do you use morphing to hypnotize somebody if you can't use bombs? Do you want to go first, Brayden, or do you want me to?
You take first. I feel like mine's gonna go a bit long.
I have to be creepy, okay? That's just, there's no bones about it. You gotta be creepy at this point. I would morph cute animals just to hang around them. If figured out, they really like cats. Okay, I'd morph a cute cat and just be all up in their business. And then you remember in Megamorphs 1 where Marco just spoke his own name to get people to talk about him? Same thing. Try and get positive vibes, see how I'm feeling. Then I would use that in my regular life to act positively towards this person, and the cat would show up. Wonder what's up with this cute cat. Get this to go on for a while so that they start to associate with seeing the cute animals with me and wanting to hear about me. And then I appear as a cute animal to them in the middle of the night and tap on their bedroom window or something. Hey, call Tessa.
Oh my god.
There's no way to do this without being creepy.
No, there isn't. No.
So
I think that's very clear. As I'm figuring out my own solution, it's fucking creepy as hell.
It's creepy as hell. All hours of the night.
Oh, you want to hear mine?
Yeah, I want to hear yours.
I have to say, I guess it's not technically mine. I'm using a little style, a little guide, made by, introduced to me by a dear friend, made by a man named Dennis, and it's called the Dennis System. First, you have to demonstrate value.
Okay, should we make it clear before this gets incredibly creepy that this is a TV show? Because it sounds like, if people haven't seen Always Sunny, it sounds like you're about to describe how your friend is a sociopath and that you're okay with it.
Is that a problem?
I mean, no, I'm just saying if that's not your intent. But
is that a problem?
No.
Say it out loud. It's not a problem.
It's not a problem if our audience thinks you're a murderer.
It's a joke, guys. I don't know any psychopaths. First, I have to demonstrate value. I coordinate with the other Animorphs. I find a missing dog that's probably Tessa, morphed, and I give it to a friend, probably you, Mikhail, in front of her. Because, if it's a woman that I'm giving the dog to, then she thinks it's, a sexual threat. And, no, that's not good for the opening gambit.
Oh, man, I gotta morph one of Mikhail's cute dogs.
Yeah.
Join us on Patreon, and you get to see photos of these cute dogs.
Step 2. Engage physically. You get a friend to morph a large spider or other creature that she would be frightened of and have it, trounce around on your couch when she comes over for a movie and dinner. So you have to watch the movie on my bed, and then obviously we have sex. I mean,
oh Jesus, okay.
Come on. What's it there for?
There's a lot of stuff happening before the phone call.
We nurture dependence. I morph a dangerous animal and chase her. I neglect emotionally. She can't find me. She's trying to call me. I am the bear, so she can't reach me. I inspire hope. When she finally grows too tired and tries to hide, I morph the bear. I morph out of the bear, morph into a man, and show up in the nick of time to save the day. And then separate entirely. By which I'm, and just never call first.
So you think she's going to be so dependent on you at this point, she's going to call you regardless?
Did you not listen?
Okay, you're right.
Do I need to go through it once more?
No, please, God,
Okay.
don't.
I mean, I'm locked on. I know exactly what all of what you said means, and of course she would call you in the middle of the night.
Say it with me. Demonstrate value.
Do we have to say it?
Yes.
Okay. Demonstrate value.
Engage physically.
Engage physically.
Nurture dependence.
Nurture dependence.
Neglect emotionally.
Neglect emotionally.
Inspire hope.
Inspire hope.
Separate entirely.
Call the police.
That's the Denick method. Wait a minute.
Okay, that's very good. My method is actually still pretty creepy, but not that involved. So I would use stealth morphs, so like a little bird or an owl or something. Something that I could watch them like through their window, not when they're changing or anything like that. It wouldn't even have to be through their bedroom window. It could just be like in the main level, wherever they are, in their house, or even at school, I guess. Because the point is, you want to see them writing. You want to see their handwriting. Obviously, there's ways to get notes from their locker and stuff as a cockroach or whatever the fuck. So do that as well. But basically, the end game here is to be able to write exactly the same as them. And then write notes as if you were them, so like in their handwriting, plant them in that person's house when people aren't there. And the notes are all like, heart, call Mikhail, and the I is a heart as well. Or like heart, and then like Mikhail, or no, my crush's first name and my redacted last name. You know? No? You guys don't know what I'm talking about?
Cool. No, yeah, okay. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
First thing they're going to do is check their carbon monoxide alarm batteries.
Right. So the idea is like at first they're going to be like, who fucking put this here? That's ridiculous. But it's going to be it's going to be a long-term campaign, and it's going to be like in places where nobody should be able to get access to, like her locker or her purse or something like that. And then
That's such a creepy question.
Eventually they're just going to think that they want to call me. And they're just going to call me all the time.
Oh my
and
God.
One of those will be in the middle of the night.
Oh my God. I think, Kay, I know Brayden just referenced the Dennis method, but I think Mikhail wins for creepiest answer.
I mean, I think morph a dangerous animal and chase her is pretty bad. Maybe not creepy, I guess.
No, not with the intent to actually hurt.
It's just the implication.
It's the implication.
I don't know. Making someone think that they wrote so creepy. I feel like I need 3 showers now.
That question, like, brought out the darkest. Our dark passengers. References.
I love Dexter.
Our next segment is called...
My life.
My morph.
In this segment, we decide on what the best use of the main morph in this book would be in our own lives. So this time, obviously, we ask, how would you use an orca morph in your own life for purely personal reasons? Who wants to go first? I can go first, because I went last time. I would fuck with biologists.
Oh.
So, like, you know how, like, in Finding Nemo 2... the one with the blue fish instead, who was lost. There was like that zoo where they like kept animals that were sick or whatever.
Did you just call Dory the bluefish?
I couldn't remember the name.
Oh my
and the
God.
name is in the title too.
How embarrassing.
Anyways, I would pretend to be sick through, like, it's easy, obviously, to pretend to be sick when you're in fucking morph. Get them to take me in, which is like a free ride. And then basically just get room and board for the rest of my life. But also keep fucking with them in crazier and crazier ways. Like, learn tricks, like, out of nowhere. I guess I didn't really consider the fact that I would have to be an orca for the rest of my life for this to work.
And you'd be trapped in a tiny little cage.
I'm sort of noticing that mine also will require me being a orca for the rest of my life. But, like, I feel I could get over that. Life sucks for orcas, but we'll get into it.
What is yours then?
Okay, so I free every orca in SeaWorld. and I kill every employee. This will make me have to go out of orca morph sometimes. But here's the thing. We know that orcas can, like, learn. They're thinking creatures. They're, like, they're mammalian. They're thinkers. So I teach the orcas the way of war. And I literally save the world. And we've established, like, this is us as the Animorphs, sort of as they are in the books, right? I teach the orcas to morph.
Oh my god.
I destroy the surface world for all the indignities they have put upon my brothers.
I mean, that tracks, I think.
That sounds great. Rule the world. Orcas are super smart. They could be our watery
we do not
overlords.
rule the world. We burn it down.
No world for anyone.
We burn it all down, and you know where the fires will stop? The only place that can physically stop them. The sea.
And that's where you live.
That will be where I live.
Okay.
Also, I'm pretty sure orcas have sex for pleasure, so Brayden, you're good.
Oh, never mind. I have no use. I have no use for this morph.
My god.
Oofda doofda, Brayden. Okay, well now I feel a little embarrassed about mine, because it's not nearly as, like... I'm a simple creature.
Yeah.
I would morph orca, and I'd go into the ocean, I'd just sit at the top of the water and look down at everything, and be like, whoa, I'm so high right now! I'm higher than Senator Socks!
It's what? You're higher than a Senator Socks?
It's part... So there's a stand-up comedian who is trying to write jokes about what being, having inhaled marijuana is like. Mm-hmm. He's like, I'm higher than a Senator Socks. I'm higher than a whale. And he describes, a whale sitting at the top of the ocean, looking down on everything, being like, I'm so high right now. And when I saw this stand up, I was like, I want to be that. I want to be that whale, looking down on the ocean, seeing all of it. So high right now.
Okay. Okay, great.
So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
God damn it.
That's probably, I'm really like, what? I would just morph a whale for 2 hours at a time and just play in the ocean and have a great time.
Yeah, for sure. We would probably all do that.
All right. What would our friends at home do, Mikhail?
So I got a bunch here from Facebook. Hudson says, hijack a plane, jump out, transform into an orca midway into crashing into a crowd in a stadium, killing a few dozen people at least. But they weren't all dark. There was get a job as a lifeguard in Australia so they don't have to use shark nets. Although that implies, I guess, that you're eating the sharks.
Yeah. Or chasing away the sharks.
There
was a lot of Free Willy jokes of, like, reenacting specifically the one scene in Free Willy where Willy jumps over the small boy.
Yeah, I saw a lot of that. It's pretty good. Richard Morale on Facebook there. Also, I think that's just a common thing. People just want that.
They just want that, yeah.
Yeah. This is possibly the most creative one I saw. I would sneak into this is Richard. I would sneak into my neighbor's house, put on her clothes, and morph just enough to Hulk them a little so she thinks she's getting fat.
That's, like, fucked up!
Damn, son!
Anything from the Twitterverse there, Brayden?
This is actually one I responded to because I thought it was really great. Dr. Pete at the Kingle Mingle. You could leave cryptic deep-sea messages to taunt and confuse James Cameron.
That's pretty good. Fuck your Avatar movies. Titanic 2, the orcas did it.
Esplin would attack and eat whale poachers.
Woo, hell yeah.
I love that. He didn't have to go that hard in the paint, but he could have just stopped attacking. But
he's gonna eat them for sustenance. Our friends on Instagram, we got a couple of Instagram friends. Animorph_addiction would moonlight with the street sharks after my Animorphs missions, of course, which is the best thing ever.
Street sharks are pretty cool.
Oh, God.
MC_Reagan would join Slan, eating whalers do crimes. And Sklar Films says, orcas are babies, so, like, swim around with my orca friends, which that's what a lot of people would do. They just swim around and look at ocean stuff. Yeah. They would just, that's what a lot of people would do. They just swim around and look at ocean stuff.
I mean,
Like
swimming
I like it.
in the ocean is basically the equivalent of like flying.
Yeah.
In the
Except
air,
you gotta
right?
keep
That
going.
is true.
You gotta keep going up to breathe. Is the thing.
Yeah, but they can do it for like 20 minutes. It sounds like at a time. So.
Yeah, it's or like half an hour. Like it's a while.
Okay, time for what you've all been waiting for. Next time, we'll be discussing, the Animorphs TV series again. Listen, I know we've done this, it seems like yesterday where we did this. I'm just trying to get this shit out of the way. So for people listening, I think the last like 13 books or something like that, there's no interruption. It's just Animorphs, hard.
Yeah, like I think book 45 is just like into it. Like that's it.
There's at least 10 books in a row. More than that even. I'm looking at the list right now, including Elemis Chronicles. So we'll be done the TV show long before that happens. And then it's just going to be smooth sailing, y'all. But anyways, now it's time for a prediction for episode 18 of the TV series, which is the next one in line. It's called The Release. Since none of us have seen it, what are all our predictions?
I mean, someone's got to have an orgasm.
Yeah, I just put 6.
And it's gonna be me.
Oh, dunk. Maybe the orgasm was the one Brayden had along the way.
Oh, dunk.
Just literally an orgasm, yeah.
I'm thinking it's probably gonna be about freeing the Dork-Bajir. Like that's gotta be what it's about, right? I mean,
And they'll keep using that one puppet.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's gotta be.
It's hopefully about something like that, yeah. Tessa, where can you find more of our stuff?
You can find more of our stuff on our podcast page at collectivelegacy.org or on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, or Facebook.
Remember to subscribe on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts, or else I'm gonna poke you right in the belly button, and I'm gonna keep going.
Oh,
You can also show your support.
Yeah, that's right. Do it again.
For belly buttons everywhere by subscribing to our Patreon page, patreon.com/DORKBAJIR.
We offer special bonuses for patrons, like access to our Discord server, Animorphs essays written by us, and a pokey in your belly button.
Oh God, fucking hell, I hate this.
Let me at it, Mikhail. I'm getting my middle finger real deep in that belly button.
Oh my God, the middle finger to the knuckle. Okay.
I thought you were going to put your penis in it, I'll be honest. I thought that's what it was.
That comes later.
Oh my, so much lint. Great.
Oh God.
Great.
We like to give a shout out to our patrons at the Dork-Bajir level or higher by giving them an Animorph style title.
A big shout out to Steam Driven, the belly button lint.
Martha Urquhart, Squid Trebuchet.
Anne Marie Ellis, the hammerhead problem.
Michael Armenta, the fucked up marine biologist.
Ace Chavez, Call Tessa, Heart.
Shanna, Axe's low-key racism.
Mariah Wamby, I can copy your handwriting perfectly.
Elamist, I'm high as a whale right now.
Nick, the Nick method.
Greg Della Posta, the Seablade in my heart.
Andrew Vila, the one who's released next week.
Zachary Vaudo, the one who's released right now.
Anyanka, That was an orca sound. Did you hear me?
Oh.
For the Fanimorphs, my name is Mikhail, the host.
I'm Tessa, the expert.
And I'm Brayden, a song of ice and fire.
Spoilers! And this has been Fanimorphs, the Dork-Bajir Chronicles.
Let's do whale sounds to end it out.
What do you want to eat right now? Jinx.
I'm Mitch.
And I'm Sophie. And this is
We Watch Food,
a podcast all about the food we like to watch.
We'll talk all about the best, the craziest, and the tastiest TV, movies, and YouTube channels.
Not to mention trendy food fads and sumptuous food trivia.
Plus, we end every episode with a recipe from one of us.
So join us every Saturday for a new episode and a new insight into what makes us watch so much food.
You can find us at collectivelegacy.org, as well as a bunch of other awesome podcasts.
Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at We Watch Food.
And on Twitter at We Watch Food Pod. So I've been Mitch.
I'm Sophie.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Brought to you by
Collective Legacy,
a podcast network.